I want to start today with President Biden is in Japan and cutting his trip short. Let's first of all talk about the agenda for this trip, because obviously the timing from a things going on in Washington point of view isn't ideal.
It's an understatement, eh? He had to tell the Australians literally hours after they were promoting the visit. The prime minister is very excited about it, visiting his hometown, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not coming for the Quad," which
the Quad
the
Summit.
Chinese are going to do wheelies around that. So it's embarrassing for the United States, embarrassing for Biden. It doesn't really affect the U.S.-Australia relationship. You'll remember that Obama canceled on the Aussies twice. So apparently this is a rich custom in American diplomatic history.
Well, it's weird. I mean, first of all, this has been planned for some time. I mean, we could have seen this coming, but I want to start with the trip itself.
Yeah.
What's the motivation? This 7-day trip that he was taking?
Well, the motivation is that the G7 has become the critical nexus of where the United States drives foreign policy internationally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in part because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's in part because of China's growth in economic and military power, particularly in Asia, without being particularly aligned with advanced industrial democracies. And both of those things has made the G7 more relevant, stronger, more cohesive. The G7 has also been a place where additional countries are invited, reached out to be more engaged. And then on the back of that, the Quad, which is, of course, a new formulation, on the back of the United States under Obama, trying to move on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, what would have been the most important multilateral trade deal the U.S. had inked in decades, couldn't get it done. Trump pulls out, but the Quad is the most meaningful piece of new architecture that brings the United States more diplomatic, economic, and military engagement in Asia with its allies and partners in Asia. And so that's the reason for the trip. There was also going to be the first ever trip by a U.S. president to Papua New Guinea, which is by far the poorest of the APEC countries. It's an island nation, archipelago nation. And now I can use the pun that Biden will be PNG in PNG. He will be persona non grata in Papua New Guinea. I don't think anyone's ever used that joke before.
I think we're going to trademark that, and I'm going to attribute it to you. But, I know all allies are, of course, precious, but why not just say to Japan the same thing you said to Australia, which is, sorry, bad timing? Is it more, are they not quite as, aligned with us as Australia, no matter what?
No, it's not that. In fact, I would say, if anything, Japan might be even more aligned, simply because they have a so much more directly and historically charged and challenging relationship with China.
Yep.
So no, the Japanese relationship with the United States is utterly indispensable, and there is a lot of trust at the top there. No, more it's that canceling on the G7 and all of those heads of state coming together, and the policies that are going to be discussed on responding to the Russian invasion with this Ukraine counteroffensive, on additional sanctions that might be needed, on taking the frozen assets and seizing them for Ukrainian reconstruction, and of course coordinating on trade, export policies, controls, all those things on China. There's a very rich agenda for the G7 that Biden not showing up for would both undermine. You just couldn't get it done effectively remotely. And also it would look horrible. And I think that this was the right thing to do. I think that if you want to try to balance between showing that the debt limit negotiations are moving forward, but they're utterly indispensable, you have to get it done, and that is your priority. So you know, you're going to make this last minute change, but you don't act like you're no longer president of the most powerful country in the world. And you're not going to allow dysfunction in Washington to prevent you from performing statesman duties. And I think that you want to send both of those messages. And I think that this was the right way to split the baby.
Okay.